You are listening to Unified Through Chronic and Mental Illness with your hosts, Angie Roberts and Kimberly Murphy. Please be advised that some of the topics of this podcast can be triggering and sensitive in nature.
The American Psychological Association found that 38% of people say their stress increases during the holidays. Only 8% of people say they feel happier.
Hey Spoonies, mental health warriors, and our supporters. Welcome to another episode of Unified. I'm Kimberly Murphy here with Angie Roberts.
Hey y'all, how are you?
And today we're talking about, everybody's starting to go to their families for the holidays. Not everyone has the most healthy family dynamic. So today we're going to talk about how to navigate that. And one of the things that really stands out in toxic family interactions is gaslighting. So today we're going to focus on gaslighting, and Angie's going to take it from here and give us a little information so that we all know what gaslighting is.
Okay, so the definition of gaslighting, according to Psychology Today.
We love them.
I don't know. If we sing for them, maybe they'll give me a subscription. I don't know. I'm still
We're trying. I know.
Right. Okay, so gaslighting is manipulating someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity. It's also a form of brainwashing, if you think of it like that, because it
makes you question your reality. They twist things so that the reality, your perception is normal, but then after they get done with whatever they're talking about, you're questioning if you remember it right. They brainwash you. Mm-hmm. So they have techniques that they actually use, right?
Right. They like to tell blatant lies, like, they're totally lying, but they're going to deny, which reminds me of my 4-year-old. But on a serious note, we all know how those 4-year-olds
they're all expert gaslighters. Well, it was funny you said that, because I was just thinking about my son who scratched his name into my car when he was like 5.
Oh my gosh.
He denied it till he was 20. But he drew the Z backwards, so we knew it was him that did it.
It's like, yeah.
But in this case, we're talking about adults who are denying because they want the upper hand in the conversation, I would imagine.
Yes, like I remember my best friend who we've talked about before that was murdered by her husband. Like, he would literally, like, he stabbed her in the side once and literally, like, tried to make her believe he didn't do it.
What was his, how did he do that? Like, what did he say?
He just kept denying it, like, that didn't really happen, or that's not such a big deal. So then he kind of would start, like, it happened, but it's not that big of a deal, and you should have forgiven me for that. And that's all gaslighting.
It is, and people need to realize that gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse. So
it is.
Yeah.
All jokes aside,
right?
It really is.
It really is, and it's really serious. And I know a lot of you out there have someone in your family that's doing this, and I hope it's not your parents, because that's really hard.
Yes.
But this is why we're talking about this, because we know Christmas is coming up, and a lot of people are just dreading going into these situations.
I used to dread going to my family holidays.
Me too. Yeah. I didn't want to celebrate the holidays at all. I get it.
Right.
Okay, so back to the types of techniques they use. What else do they do?
So they even deny when there is truth, or proof. Excuse me. There's proof that they did something. You might have a picture of them kissing a woman, but that's not me.
Right.
It's
right.
Blatantly obvious that it's them, but it's not them.
And
So,
the hard thing is that they're really good at this, so they have you questioning yourself.
oh yeah, they
Yeah.
will. They
Yeah.
will have you. They will have you looking at that picture, questioning. Well, maybe that's not him.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
just somebody that looks like him.
And then they can use that later and say, well, what about that time you accused me and you even have
Oh
this dumb
yeah,
picture? So yeah, it builds and it grows. And this is what they love to do, is create confusion.
right. They like to use ammunition that is near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
your children, anything, your family, um, any secrets that you have told them. Like, oh
Yep.
my gosh.
Yep.
They also wear you down over time. A lie here, a lie there, a snide comment here, a snide comment there. The frog in the frying pan, if you've never heard of that, they put the frog in the pot frying pan and gently turn the heat up and gently turn the heat up and gently turn the heat up. So the frog doesn't know it's about to be,
Mm-hmm.
the heat is gradually getting hotter.
This is
Instead,
what my therapist was
yeah.
talking to me about last week when I talked to her, and she said, if you grow up in a family where there's red flags just flying all the time, and that's what you're used to, you got 10 flags flying, you're not going to notice when one more is added, and when one more is added, and so it builds and it builds and it builds,
Yes.
and it's normal to you, especially if this is a family dynamic. That's a horrible situation to be in, and it's easy not to see it happening as it's happening and growing.
And
Next,
I want to point that out. It's not easy to see how it's going. They also say that this is a trait of also of a narcissist. So,
yeah.
and of an abuser. So
Mhm.
this is, you can kind of see how the abuser uses this to reel in his
Victim.
their
I'm gonna
victim.
call it a
Yeah,
victim. Yeah.
yes, thank you, Kimberly. That's the
Hmm.
word I was looking for. I just victim. That he uses this. Not he, excuse me. They use this because women can be very,
Oh
um,
yes,
they can be abusers too, and
absolutely. There's a lot of
men,
people who have moms that are like this, and unfortunately, and they dread going to Christmas dinner for all of these reasons.
right, our sisters, maybe.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go to
Yeah.
the next one now. Their actions don't match their words. So they'll say, I love you, but
Hmm.
they don't show you. Their actions don't match their words.
Hmm.
And you have a good description of that, Kimberly.
Yeah, it's like they're all image and no substance.
Mm-hmm.
They're all about how people perceive them. And so they have high expectations for other people, of course. You need to do this, you need to do that to be a good person. But they don't act that way. They will constantly not live up to the standards that they set for other people. Like I said before, they're all image
Right,
and no substance.
right, right. And sometimes they throw in some positive reinforcement just to throw you off, think you're
Hmm.
doing a good job or to love on you a little bit. And then they just boom, start that lying a little bit again, and the
Or those
snide comments
comments, yeah.
again. And yes. And it all just starts, it's a cycle.
Sitting at
That's
Christmas dinner and, oh, you're such a lovely, beautiful young woman, but you're not married yet. There's always
oh
that
my
but.
gosh.
There's people right now listening. I'm so sorry for you ladies who are
Thank you.
like,
Well, thank you.
right? Because it's
Thank you for being sorry for
horrible.
me.
It's
I have heard this
horrible.
before.
Yeah.
It's been even worse. Like, oh,
Hmm.
you're such a beautiful young lady and you have a child now. Don't you
Right.
think you should be thinking about marriage?
Oh my goodness.
Uh, no, not really. I'm thinking about my kid.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Your priorities are where they should be at the moment.
That's right. Come on now.
I know. And this is the kind of stuff they like to say. And,
They do.
we're laughing about it, but sometimes, it's because it's so painful. You have to laugh. But
Yeah.
it can be a really horrible thing when you're sitting at, Christmas dinner, the whole family's there and you're the one being pointed out. It
It's
can make
horrible.
you feel really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and they know confusion weak into.
Mhm.
So they want to try to confuse you with that positive
Yep.
reinforcement and then the negative and the positive reinforcement and the negative. So, you know,
Yeah. I mean, they know that it's going to keep them in a position of power over other people if
and that, right,
everything is so confusing, you can't really point anything out. It's like that situation where a guy's like, "Well, tell me what I did wrong." And you're like, um,
oh,
well, what did you do right? But I'm really confused right now and I don't have like a solid answer because they thrive on that confusion. And I'd said a guy just because, I'm a female and I've dated guys like that in my past. So
right. I think that's why we say guys
yeah,
because of that. Yeah,
but obviously anyone can be this way.
right. So they also project, like
Mm,
if they think what they do, the liars and cheaters do a lot of this, where
yeah.
they accuse you when they're actually doing it.
Hmm. It's like if
So,
somebody accuses, they say, if someone accuses you of cheating all the time, they're probably cheating. I don't
right.
know if that's always true, but I mean,
I
this
don't,
is what they
yeah,
mean. A lot of people will project onto you what is actually their own. They're feeling insecure because they're like, if I can do it, then why wouldn't you?
right, right. Or they don't want you. I think it's because they don't want to be looked at. And it's just totally, if they totally turn it around on you, they obviously can't be doing it because you can't be thinking about them doing it
Right.
because you're worried about them
Right.
thinking
No,
you're
that
doing it.
makes sense though.
I
Yeah,
don't
that
know if
makes
that,
sense.
I
That
don't know if I said that.
also,
Yeah,
well, it adds to the confusion also.
right.
So I hear what you're saying, and I think that's part of it too. Um, and then they tell everybody else how unstable you are.
Yeah, they tell everybody you're crazy and you're a liar and you have mental issues and you're not taking your medication and you're not doing this and you're not doing that and they
I
make you
mean,
look like the bad person all
yeah,
the
it's like the guy you're married to who tells your mother, "Oh, she's been doing okay. I make sure she takes her medicine and when she doesn't, we have these problems." And like somebody's treating
time.
you like you're a child and getting your own family to turn against you. Again, I'm just talking about families because I'm thinking about Christmas, but really this could be anything. Your office party, your friends getting together, there's just that one person that's
Yes.
there that does this.
Yeah, we always seem to link gaslighting to the narcissist, but I also want to say I believe people can gaslight that are not narcissists because um,
I totally
maybe
agree
it's
with that.
their fear.
Hmm.
Maybe they have. I feel like one of my things when they said I have BPD traits is that I used to do a lot of gaslighting because I was in fear of losing people. I was, and it wasn't all of this craziness,
But
but
it
it
was
would
more like,
be
I'll get them before they get me. Is it
right.
like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or it was, just whatever to keep them around. And then, then of course I would get upset and then say mean things or something. I don't know. Maybe I
Right.
wasn't really gaslighting, but there's a part of gaslighting that I think people do unconsciously sometimes.
Yeah, I think a lot of these little things that we're kind of like pinpointing right now, that
Mhm.
all of it together is gaslighting. But I think we all have a tendency to go through some of this stuff, especially growing up. I mean, everyone's lied. I don't know, no, not everyone's cheated, but they've cheated. Maybe they've cheated on a test, or maybe they didn't tell their friend something they should have, or we all do these things. So we're all capable of all of these things. But when you put them all together and then you have a target,
Right.
that's gaslighting. I don't think you're a
Definitely.
gaslighter. Mm-mm, no.
Well, you didn't know me a long time ago.
Well, that's true. That's true. I can't imagine you being anything but but what you are today. So
Right.
yeah.
I might maybe it's being more manipulative than gaslighting. I don't
Well,
know.
how old were
Anyway,
you? How old are you though when this was happening?
I was in my 30s or
Oh, okay.
20s and 30s, and
Okay. So yeah,
it. I think it was untreated mental illness though too. So
absolutely. Yeah.
you know, I
Because
didn't know
it's
what to do with myself and bad.
mhm.
I'm not going to just say untreated mental illness, but also bad coping skills and no tools in the toolbox. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
had a lot to do with it.
I think a
Yeah.
lot of our listeners can really identify with that because I lived a long time without any tools in my toolbox, and it caused me to make
Right.
horrible decisions. And I didn't have the best behavior either, so I can really, identify with what you're saying and relate. Sure, a lot of people
Right.
can. Yeah.
I would be like real snooty one day to my friends, and only I think I was just taking them for granted, and it, maybe that's an age thing, or maybe that's a life lesson thing. I don't know, but
I think we all learn that at some point. Yeah.
yeah, I
I
think it's
think
kind of
a
a
lot of
life lesson
people
that people
that
don't have to stick around.
right, but the people that gaslight, they would never come to the point where they could even admit that. Like,
Yeah, that's
they're the kind of people who'd be like, "What? I don't have the problem. You have the problem." You
yeah,
know, the fact that you can self-reflect on it, I think it's important to remember that not all gaslighters are narcissists. Sometimes they're
right,
just, I mean, people with BPD can do this. People just with like anxiety disorders or personality disorders, all kinds of things can cause someone to feel like they need to do this in order to feel better about themselves. And
right,
there's a lot of abuse that can happen sometimes. Like we've talked about that before. If you hurt people, so sometimes this person is made because their parent was that way, or so um they're not all narcissists. That's not always, and I think it's associated with narcissism a lot.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So where did the term gaslighting come from anyway? I don't think a lot of people know the answer to that. So
I didn't know until today. So the term gaslighting comes from the movie Gaslight. Excuse
right.
me, the movie Gaslight, in which a man manipulates his wife into thinking she's losing her mind. So I have not seen this movie yet. I did
It's
want
an
to
old
try to
movie.
look. I did want to try to see it before we came on, but I just ran out of time, y'all. But I'm gonna watch it and just see where it all started at.
Yeah, because I'm
I think
sure
it
we'll
would be
talk
kind of
about
interesting.
stuff like this again, and it would be interesting.
Right.
I know it's a black and white film and it's older,
Is it?
but I think
Yeah,
it would be really interesting to watch. I really do.
right.
Yeah.
If I can watch it, we'll see. Sometimes well, I have PTSD, and sometimes there's certain things I can't.
Yeah.
Abusive situations are hard for me to watch a lot of
Right.
times.
Right.
Yeah. So
I
anyway,
think if I understand right, the plot of the movie is that it's very gradual, and it starts
yeah.
very gradual and it builds and builds and builds. So, um, yeah, I know there's a lot of people with PTSD, CPTSD that this might not be appropriate for. So maybe we could screen it for everybody and let them know if it's good to watch.
So Psychology Today, again, Psychology Today. Please send me a subscription.
Somebody.
Their Psychology Today would be nice. It says, okay, their subscriptions are expensive. That's all I gotta say.
I'm sure they
I
want
could
you to
go
say that.
online and read them for free, but I don't. It's not the
Pretty
same.
much
I like.
forget that sponsorship now after saying that.
You can go online and read them for free. Yeah, sorry, and cost too much. You do bring those prices down so people like me can afford this. Okay. On a real note, okay. Psychology Today says there are ways to deal with gaslighters, especially around the holidays. So, of course, the best option in the whole world is to stay clear of your gaslighter. But no, it is totally acceptable to decline an invitation if the person is going to be there. I don't care where you're going. If that gaslighter is going to be there and you don't want to go face him or
Mhm.
her or
Mhm.
them,
Mhm.
it can be them, family.
Oh, yes, it can. Unfortunately.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Don't go. Just decline. They're going to be mad at you, but heck, they're going to be mad at you anyway, right? They're
Yep.
going to abuse you when you get there. Let them be mad.
Well,
I don't
they
know.
are. They're gonna because it doesn't matter what you do. That's the point. Like it really does not matter what you do. If you go, you're
It
not
is.
scoring any points with them. So
You're not,
no,
because
no.
gaslighters, narcissists, they don't care.
Abusive people, they don't care.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can't do that, put a time limit on how long you're going to stay. Um,
That's a good
however
one.
long, I think it is, because however long you feel that you can stay, maybe you know a little bit about your gaslighter and you know that they'll start in about an hour. You know what I
Right.
mean? 30
Right.
minutes after you get there, they don't start it on you right away, most likely. Most likely it starts a little bit
Yeah.
into the thing. So just stay for an hour or something, or whatever
And have
makes you
your
feel
eggs,
comfortable.
yeah, and have your exit strategy ready ahead of time because they will try to
Right,
talk you out of it and just go. Because
right.
again, nothing you
Don't feel
do,
bad about it either.
right? Because anything you do is not going to make them happy. So, and it's
Right.
not your fault.
Just yeah, accept that the people that they are never going to be the people that you want them to be.
Right.
There's just
Yep.
acceptance is such a hard thing. My
Hmm.
my the saying for acceptance is it is what it is, and a lot of people don't like that. So that's okay. Just have your own motto. That's great.
Right. Right.
But my motto is it is what it is, because it puts it in perspective for me.
Hmm.
Is it's absolutely 100% what it looks like, not anything that's made up in your mind. It's 100% what
Right.
you're looking at. It
Right.
is what it is. So yeah, that's a little bit of DBT for you.
And then it's good. And it's good. It's good. It's healthy. And it
Yeah,
reminds us um, that we're not crazy like they want us to seem. And that's the other thing,
right.
if you are in a situation where someone's trying to confuse you all the time, and this happened
Mm,
to me recently, this person was constantly doing these horrible things, and I felt compelled to stick it out and help the person. And I helped this person many, many times while this was all happening. Uh, because every time something happened, they would get twisted and confused, and I would forget, and I would be like, when you're in the middle of it, you don't remember everything. It's so confusing. And you're just getting over one thing and another thing's thrown at you and then something else. And this is going to sound really funny, but it got to the point where because I had known this person for so long, I was kind of allowing more bad behavior than I normally would in somebody
right.
else. My husband was like, that's it. I'm going to start writing this stuff down because that's how much it happened. That's how often it happened.
Right.
And he
And we're
started writing
definitely
them
going
all
to talk
down.
about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he wrote them all down and he's like, I'm writing this down so that when you're confused, you can look back and say, look at all this stuff that's happened.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, it's a good idea.
mhm. Yeah.
Um, if you're gift giving,
Mm.
accept before you even give this gift that they is not going to be good enough. Is something's going to be wrong with it. Oh, I love it, but I
Hmm.
have 10 of them. Oh, I love it, but she didn't really put a lot of thought into a gift card. Oh, I love it, but um, don't stress out to find the perfect present. Just, you know what? Just stick a $10 bill in there. I don't
This
even say, I say
reminds
a
me,
$10 bill in a card.
yeah, this reminds me of my father because my father loved the Beatles. He played them on his guitar all the time. I mean, he had books and books of like guitar music. What is it called? Like the script? No.
Uh,
Sheet
no,
music, sheet music,
manuscripts. Oh, yeah.
sheet music.
Sheet
Like all
music.
of these books of sheet music of all their songs and stuff, right? And he played them like all the time. And so one year I decided to get him like the full collection. It was like this limited thing that they had put out. And I
Right.
thought, finally, I'm going to get something for my father that he'll love because he had everything. Like, what do you get for someone who has everything? So, and that's the other thing. They
Right.
love the gaslighters. They love to own stuff. Again,
Right.
no substance, lots of like outward appearance. But I got him this, and he's like, I don't even like the Beatles. I was floored. I was floored. I'm like, what do you mean you don't like the Beatles? And it
Who
really,
doesn't like the Beatles? What's wrong
well,
with that?
I mean, he played it. He had all the books. He
Right.
played all the songs. Like it was obvious to everyone that the Beatles was his favorite band. And then, of course, I get him that one thing, and he says he doesn't like them. That's what a gaslighter does.
That is just horrible.
That's what they do to you, though. That's what they do. So yeah, don't stress. Give them money.
Don't give them anything, or don't give them
or don't give them
because,
anything. Yeah, you don't have
because
to.
you know they're gonna complain. I'm sorry, y'all. I almost cursed. Complain about that too.
It just makes you feel
Complain.
so bad when you're especially if you're a giver. Like I love giving gifts. It's part of my love language.
It's mine too. Yeah. So I know. Yeah.
And I do spend a lot of time looking for the perfect gift. But when you get to this point where this person is doing this to you, I know another person in my family does this too. It's never good enough. And this family member of mine chooses to start fights after getting a gift, or it's always negative. And I don't understand how that happens or why it's triggering this. But, the gift is never good enough. So it's hard. The giver in me does not want to stop doing it, but at the same time, acceptance, again, like you said, you have to have the acceptance that you're doing it because you want to. They're not going to feel the way you do this. They're not going to feel the love and the gift that you bought them, unfortunately.
I agree. If you want to buy them a present, buy them something. Just don't stress. Please don't stress over these people that are not stressing over you.
They're not, and they enjoy the fact that you are stressing, and that's what they want you to do.
Yeah. The holidays can make them worse. Gaslighters can't stand other people enjoying themselves, so they make you feel bad for having a good time. So gift giving or whatever you're doing, playing a game or whatever, they're always going to have something negative to say about it.
A lot of family fights happen because of this. So, you start off with a nice you start off with a nice meal, and it ends up in a family drama scene, bringing up all the stuff that happened in the past. Yes. I feel really bad for families that are going through that right now with COVID and everybody being trapped in their homes for so long and now probably finally starting to get out and get together. The last thing you want to do after you've been isolated forever is go hang out with toxic family members.
Right.
But here we are, and everybody's stressed as it is. So take care of yourself. I mean, if you're already feeling really stressed, you need to kind of shield yourself from this person that you already know can do a lot of damage psychologically to you in one dinner. I mean, think about that. It doesn't take a lot of time.
And I want to say, going into your situation with a plan is going to make you feel better about getting up and walking out or doing whatever you got to do. Taking your 30 minutes or taking your hour or your 10 minutes, whatever you've decided that you're going to stay at this party.
Right.
Or maybe you've decided until that person starts in and then you're just going to leave. That's fine too. But I think that just walking in with a plan makes you feel less stressed.
A lot of times too, when you're hanging out with family members, because they've known you your entire life, they'll do what's called countering. So they'll basically question someone's memories, and they'll basically be like, that's not how I remember it, or they'll say that never happened. And they'll also basically, sometimes they'll withhold conversation from you. So they'll talk to everyone else at the table and they'll ignore you on purpose.
That's abuse too, by the way. When you give somebody the silent treatment, I just hate to tell y'all, that's abuse.
It is.
And I used to be a silent treatment person, but now I'm not. So it can change. You can do it.
And not including someone is abuse as well, to purposely put them out. They'll also trivialize things, like they'll be like, "Oh, you're too sensitive. That's, why are you so?" Gosh. I hate that. Because they say your feelings are not valid.
I know. Yes, it's horrible to invalidate somebody's.
And then they may use diverting techniques. So they'll just be like, "Well, this is just another crazy idea you have," or maybe your friends are telling you this. Who gave you this idea? That kind of thing. And they may stereotype you too, but the black sheep of the family and that kind of thing. By the way,
That's
for all of
me.
you black sheeps,
We-
welcome to the club. And you know what? Usually the black sheep is the one that knows the truth of the family. And that's why they're the black sheep, and the family uses them, like tries to hold them down. You're
And the
not the
black
crazy
sheep
one.
stick together too,
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
So hang
And
in there, black sheeps.
I thought it was interesting when I was checking things out too. According to the Cptsd Foundation, medical gaslighting can occur. So it occurs when a doctor or medical professional dismisses or trivializes a person's health concerns based on the assumption that they're mentally ill. So it's all in your head.
So wait a minute. You said CPTSD?
So CPTSD is complex. Want to say it, Angie? Oh my goodness.
It's complex post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Thank you. Disorder.
You're welcome. Disorder.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And it means that you have had it for a very long time.
Right. And so
And
they're saying that the foundation, the CPTSD Foundation, is saying that that doctors can do that, and they do that a lot. I remember leaving doctors' offices crying because they were like, I was like 32 years old, and this one doctor was like, "You're menopausal."
oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay, y'all, I am way above 30 now, and I'm still not in menopause. So I'm just gonna say it that way.
Right.
But it was hysterical. Like, and then is it depression? Maybe you're just depressed. Right. So that does happen a lot.
It's all in your head.
Yes, it's all in your head. And then there's racial gaslighting.
Yes.
So politics, group, and identity say racial gaslighting occurs when people apply gaslighting techniques to a group of people based on race or ethnicity. For example, a person may deny that a specific group experiences discrimination despite evidence that says otherwise, or they might criticize civil rights activists for being too emotional to undermine their message.
Oh, okay. I can't say nothing else, but okay.
Well, but what you can say,
That's a whole other podcast, y'all.
We should probably cover that. And then, of course, there's political gaslighting, and a lot of people who were not Trump. I'm just going to say a lot of people who were not Trump supporters believe that he was a gaslighter as well. So there's a lot of different places. Go ahead. No? Okay. There's a lot of my tongue. I know, really hard, right? Over here. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of ways that gaslighting can be used. So because gaslighting has such a strong impact on mental health, and it does. Everybody out there, it does. Your feelings are so valid, and yes, it absolutely affects your mental health. There's things that you can do to deal with someone who's gaslighting you. One of the things they say is don't engage too much. So if they ask you a question, keep it to a one-word answer, like interesting or yes or no, things like that, because it gives them less to work with. They also say that if you can handle it and you can do this, always be polite and nice, because answer them with kindness every single time, even because it drives them crazy and they probably will stop talking to you. And there's helpful techniques, like I was saying earlier. If you're having problems, because they do thrive on confusion, they want you to be confused, they want you to question your sanity. This is exactly what gaslighting is. So writing everything down, write it down if you have to.
Secret diary, or keep it somewhere, or buy one of those little tape recorders or something where you can
the details documented.
Document the details.
And if you can put the date, if you can put the time, the details of what happened, it's going to be great, because you can look over like the last couple months just as an example, and be like, well, wow, I forgot that even happened, because they do that. It's so confusing that you forget a lot of the stuff that happened because you're dealing with the fire in front of you.
Yeah, it gets really confusing, because as you go on, like I said, they're brainwashing you. So you're
Mhm.
really questioning yourself, and you
What
need a way to snap yourself back to reality.
you can also like take pictures. It can help someone, fact check their memories and remind them that they're not imagining things. Some
Mhm.
people are really visual, so pictures can help. And keeping voice memos, use your cell phone. Some people say to record. You have to check your laws in your state. I'm not going to say that you should do this if it's illegal, but I mean, record it, record the conversation, because like they deny.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, at least you'll have proof for other people to show them, because that's the other thing the gaslighters thrive on, is they will get everyone to believe that what they're saying about you is true. So everyone, they usually are pretty good about getting people on their side. Not always, but some gaslighters are pretty good at that. And so you want
Mhm.
some proof. You want proof to kind of like at least keep those other relationships going strong, because after a while your family will start doubting you. And if you're the kind person that's not always in their face saying stuff,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
um, you want to store evidence in a hidden location if you live with them. Buy a second phone or a cheap voice recorder, it says. Keep devices locked away. Send records to a trusted individual so that person can delete personal copies. This is pretty this is pretty sounds pretty serious and severe, but they're also talking about like if you live in an abusive situation and you're living with the gaslighter. Um,
I have personally experienced having to be the person to hold all the information.
how
So
does it feel to be on the end of that?
very overwhelming. And
Yeah.
then when something bad happens, then it's extremely overwhelming. So,
Yeah, I imagine it would be. So you would want to, I mean, I personally
but
think
still,
you're
it was for my best friend. So of course I wasn't going to let her down. But, you
right.
know,
I
yeah,
think personally, I think if people are willing to go to a therapist, that a therapist would be good for this kind of information. They keep
right.
all of your information safe, but you're not going to give them recordings. So yeah, I don't think it's I haven't read anything about how to choose the right kind of person, but make sure the person that you choose, have a conversation with them and see if it's something that they can handle and want to do with you.
Yeah.
I know in the situation with you, Angie, that the outcome was the absolute worst outcome. Uh, so I'm sure it was hard to have that information, and I
Yeah,
don't
it
even
was
know.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know how I would handle that. And just one last side note for me, anyways. Little bit of like, okay, this is how we can go in armed. Take some self-care activities with you. If you like the coloring, the coloring thing that everybody went through for stress relief, if that works for you, bring it with you. If soothing music works for you, make sure you have it. Whatever is going to help you in a situation where like it's starting to feel like a crisis, take a step back, do those self-care activities and
Mhm.
your coping skills. If you don't have any coping skills, look it up. There's tons on the internet. Like seriously, there'll be tons of things that you can find that can help you kind of take your attention away from what's going on at that moment. But again, you can just get up and leave if it's that to that point that you are not coping well. um, the best thing you can do at that point is just leave, and you have to plan for a safe situation in which you can leave. So
Yes.
have a plan, say to everybody ahead of time, I'm going to have to leave at some point to do whatever, and make sure you have time it if you want to, and then just go. And hopefully
Right.
that'll
Yeah.
make you help you survive the holidays. But so Angie, what can somebody do if they're in a really bad situation where there's gaslighting, which is abuse? What can they do to help themselves to get help?
I really suggest that you reach out to the domestic violence hotline because they're really what they know a lot about gaslighting because a gaslighting goes with abuse and gaslighting is abuse. So
Right,
you're being abused. So
right.
you can call 1-800-799-7233 or 1-800-799-SAFE, SAFE, or text START, START to 88788.
I love that you can text now. That makes me feel safer. I don't know about anyone else, but sometimes I just don't want to talk on the phone. So I love that feature. And I think
Right.
with all the texters now, it's great.
Right. I think it's wonderful too. You can also go to the hotline.org, the hotline.org. It's the the National Domestic Violence Hotline
Okay.
website.
hmm
And they'll tell you how to get help, how to identify abuse, plan for safety, and stuff like that.
That's great. Thank you, Angie. That's great.
Sure.
So what is the mantra for this week?
Opinion is really the lowest form of human knowledge. It requires no accountability, no understanding. The highest form of knowledge is empathy, for it requires us to suspend our egos and live in another's world.
I really love this mantra because, a lot of people do live in their ego.
Mhm.
And, empathy, a lot of people have sympathy. Sympathy is like, oh, I feel so bad for that person. And empathy is like understanding how that person feels. So,
Right.
Which is exactly the opposite of what gaslighters are like. So,
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
yeah, I mean, this is a great quote because it's true. And a lot of people who have empathy are the targets for abusers. So
They
remember
are.
that because they do feed off our kindness. So you want to be careful of that and
And I like
not,
how it says, oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. I was just going to say, and not allow them to cross those boundaries, which can be really hard.
Right. And I was going to say that the beginning of that, when it says opinion is really the lowest form of human intelligence, you need to remember that their opinion of you really doesn't, it's stupid.
It's not reality.
It's not reality. You
No.
know who you are. You got to find yourself again.
Yeah.
And it maybe take a while. Like I'm trying to find myself again after and I've heard this over and over after giving birth, you have to try to find yourself again.
Yep.
Because you spend so much time with the baby right at first that that's all you do. So
Yeah, that's true. And when you're in a situation like this, sometimes it takes therapy and learning new tools.
definitely.
I'm going through that currently. That's my current I don't know, task. I don't know what to call it. But I'm trying to put some tools in my toolbox.
How's that vision board going?
Oh my goodness, not even started. But I do have to make a vision board. My therapist has asked me to do that so that I have a clear goals in mind. And I'm probably going to do it at the last minute, Angie.
I know she does everything at the last minute. Oh, hey, how was Max's trip?
So Max went to Pennsylvania. Max was born up north, but raised in Florida. So this was the first time he saw snow, and they did go skiing, which I guess didn't go very well.
I get to hear that story later. I can't believe.
Max said he did more falling than skiing, but no, he had a really great trip. He said Philly is so beautiful, and
Awesome.
yeah, those of you in Philly, he said it's just gorgeous right now. So yeah, he had a really good time. I survived it too.
Yes. I didn't know if she was going to make it or not.
I cried off and on the whole first day. It's terrible. But yeah, empty nesters, we're getting there. Anyway, so we hope that you enjoyed this week's episode and that some of our tips will help you navigate the holidays this year. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to share it with your friends. Follow or subscribe to our channel. All of our social media information will be announced in just a moment. Please join us next week for a brand new episode. You don't want to miss it. Until then, thank you for listening, and please remember that we're stronger together.
Mask up, y'all. Peace out.
Unified Through Chronic and Mental Illness can be found at anchor.fm/unified. There you can find all social media links as well as other ways to listen.